Okay, how's everybody doing? Good to be back up here. Good weekend this past weekend. Good to get a win at home. Good to get a win at home against a very good opponent. Old Dominion obviously came into the game after a huge win over Virginia Tech, and so quality team we were facing, and good to be able to get a quality win. Not overly excited about the way we played in the first half. Just thought, just weren't very sharp offensively, not the way we want to be, and really had too many errors right there, and obviously, had a couple of big plays we gave up defensively that, kept Old Dominion in the ball game, and that kind of, just would like to start off a lot better than that. I thought the kids played really hard, but I think we just got to continue to improve, continue to sharpen up some things, and continue to get better. Really pleased with the way we played the fourth quarter. Obviously, be able to pull away there. Wish we hadn't give up the cheap one late on just kid being too greedy. But overall, good home win. Good 1-1 on the year. Really appreciate the fan base and the enthusiasm that they had on Saturday night. It was good to have, in spite of the weather, have a really solid crowd. They were very energetic, very into the ball game, and I think that's one of the great things that we're so fortunate with here at East Carolina is having a passionate fan base, and just really appreciate them. So we already flipped the page and moved on to a very good Campbell team coming in here this weekend. They are an old team with a lot of guys that have played a lot of snaps. They have a dynamic quarterback who had a great game in the opener, had a solid game last week. They return a massive offensive line. They will be much bigger than we are when we take the field on Saturday. Their left tackle is a Senior Bowl watch list kid, transferred from Wake Forest. Very good player. Their other tackles equally as large and a solid player. Defensively, they have the reigning Big South Player of the Year there at defensive end, and a very solid unit there. So, big challenge this weekend. Solid opponent. We've got to focus on getting better today. We've got to have a great practice today to kind of start the week off with our preparations and be very, very sharp and really build towards Saturday. Looking forward to another home game, 6 o'clock kickoff. Should be great weather, family weekend. And so I would anticipate that we're going to have a large crowd and a full stadium on Saturday night. So it's great to be back at home again, and great to be back in front of our crowd. So questions?
Since your time here, that was probably the best run defense performance you've had. Anything you caught on film that can kind of explain to that?
Well, I think that, number one, is a big focus last week with a 1,000-yard rusher coming in here. I thought our defensive linemen did a really good job at the point of attack. I thought the linebackers were very conscientious with some things that we had in our scouting report, and I thought we did a really good job of fitting the run. I do think that the way we defended the run helped us with getting them off the field. For the most part, we gave up a handful of big plays, and then other than that, we played pretty solid. So it was a good night.
Their quarterback. They seem to be a different team when he's healthy. But
No doubt.
Can you compare him at all to Jack Chambers? I know they're different players, but last year, can you take any?
He's a lot better player than Jack was. He's bigger. He's probably more explosive. Probably throws it better in the pocket. They were 3-1 last year when he got injured. He missed the rest of the season. During the pandemic in 2020, one of the weekends where we were quarantined or whatever, I got the chance to watch them play Georgia Southern at Georgia Southern. He almost single-handedly beat Georgia Southern in that game. And they went for 2 at the end, didn't get it, ended up losing by 1. But just really stood out to me just how dynamic of an athlete he is. So certainly it's going to be a huge challenge Saturday.
A couple games in, I'm just kind of curious how you think your defensive line rotation is. I mean, it's like 7, 8 guys are making plays.
Yeah.
Obviously, against a big offensive line, you think that will help out?
Right. I think it's a strength. I think all those guys are playing really well. It was great to see, Chandre Mims have a great night the other night. He had played the run very well, had pressure on the quarterback multiple times, had the strip sack that resulted in the fumble recovery by J.D. Lampley that set up Rajay's touchdown there in the second half. So it's great to have, a lot of guys playing at a high level. It allows us to stay fresh right there. We're going to need that this Saturday against a line of the size that Campbell has.
Having coached on the other side of FCS versus FBS, how is it preparing for an FCS team as an FBS coach?
They're a good football team. I could care less which classification we are or they are. They're a good football team, and that's the big thing. We've got to have a great week of practice.
You mentioned how maybe frustrated you were with some of the points given up, but I guess is it refreshing at all to be somewhat frustrated after an 18-point win?
Well, I mean that's the plus, and I told the kids that is, it's a lot easier to clean up mistakes after a win than after a loss. You sit here after a loss, and the mistakes crucify you because, it's just like the first game. They just haunt you. We got to get them cleaned up, because if you don't get them cleaned up, they're going to bite you in the rear end. But we're cleaning them up after a win, and that's I'll take that any day of the week.
Where you guys are at offensively right now? First game, Winston had a nice game. Jalen Johnson comes back, and I guess just how confident are you now in having so many different options, and how tough is that from a defensive coach's perspective to prepare for that going into game day?
Well, I think it's, I had confidence in those guys before we played our first game, just because I'd watched them play all preseason. So it's good to see them make those plays on game day. Now everybody else understands, what my excitement level was during preseason camp. It ends up being a deal where, you don't have just one guy, and you have multiple guys that are being productive. The great thing is they're also being unselfish. I'm going to challenge them this week. We've got to do a better job blocking on the perimeter and taking care of that facet of our performance. But I do think that they're continuing to build confidence in each other, and certainly everybody else is gaining confidence in them as well.
Coach, what have you seen out of Avery Jones, and how much has he grown in center for you, not only himself but with Bolton?
Right. Well, I think he's obviously a lot more comfortable this year than he was a year ago after a year of experience under his belt. So the expectations are higher. He and I talked yesterday, and the big focus for him is, and continuing to improve. And there's some things that he needs to improve on from Saturday night's performance. But I think he's a high character young man. He's a very athletic guy at center, and he's a guy that's got a pretty high ceiling. So for him, the big focus is just continue to push himself every single day to improve, and that's what he's got to do.
While we're on the offensive line, Justin comes in as a transfer playing tackle for the first time. Just what has that transition been like for him?
Well, I think number one, just his attitude's been fantastic. You couldn't really ask for anything any better. He is a big, athletic, strong kid, and so he has some God-given abilities. It's been a little bit of a transition, but he is a guy that's improving every single day. And I think you'll see him as you go throughout the season. He's going to continue to improve every single day. And he's just really an enjoyable guy to be around, enjoyable guy to coach. Really glad he's here.